One of our hopes for moving back to South Africa is really to see the Lord's name be magnified. That's really what's consuming our hearts. I think about Psalm 34, come magnify the Lord with me, or let's magnify the Lord together. That's just really our heart, to see Christ known and to make him known. That's what we desire to see in South Africa. We want to do that. Some of that is already happening, but we want to be part of that magnifying of the Lord's name. So I grew up in Cape Town, and in a small town there, a ghetto basically. We call them townships in South Africa. And this area is part of the segregation that was put in place during apartheid. So when I was about 14 years old, a missionary came in to share the gospel with young people in the ghetto. She had a passion for Jesus and the gospel, and for young people that were troubled. She came into our community at a high risk to herself, and she started a small group. And long story short, she sent me to a camp. I was not paying attention at that camp. I didn't want to be there, I realized. But on one of the nights, the preacher was preaching, and he was sharing the gospel. And one of the things that he mentioned as he was sharing the gospel was how God is loving and how God is the father to the fatherless. And that just caught my attention, and I broke down and cried. And the reason I broke down and cried is because I lost my biological mother at 12, and I never knew my father. When this preacher was sharing the gospel about God's love and how he loves us even as sinners, and I realized that my life was not going in the right direction. I was guilty of that rebellion. What really showed me that my life had changed was that I just wanted to know God's word. I was like, what does it mean to be a Christian? I read through the Bible, and I was visiting with Christians, trying to learn more from them and seeking out discipleship and growing in the word. And so one of the marks when I look back of my own growth was just this desire that God had put in my heart for his word, to study it, to know it, to apply it, to obey it. The Lord moved us here to California in 2018. I was admitted to William Jessup University to complete my undergrad. After a few years at Jessup, I started preaching at churches across Northern California. I got the call to come to Citrus Heights and help lead this church post-COVID. And while I was starting my pastoral ministry here, I was part of the 6-4 internship at Doxa. So that was just amazing, because I was doing ministry, hands-on ministry, and I was also being trained and coached. So that was just the perfect timing in God's providence for me to be doing both of those things at the same time. And it's just really sharpened my conviction to trust God's word. We want to plant a church. That's really kind of like the burning passion of our hearts, is to see a healthy church, Bible-centered church in South Africa. And we want to be part of that. We're hoping that the Lord uses us, if he sees fit, to do that work in and through us and through our lives. And so we want to invite Christians to pray with us, that we know that we're not doing this alone. We're brothers and sisters in the body. We would love people to pray that God would just go before us, ahead of us, to prepare hearts and workers. My heart has always been discipleship, to teach God's people his words. What's the most faithful way to do that? And the best way to make disciples is through the local church. That's where life is lived together. That's where the word is proclaimed. That's where the Christians are baptized and they're part of the Christian community and they take communion together. If you're going to do it faithfully, that's one of the ways to do it. Make disciples of all men.